I will go ahead and call the meeting of March 19th, 2026 of the TRPA Hearings Officer to order. It is 2 p.m. My name is Marcia Birch, and I'll be serving as the Hearings Officer today. First item is approval of the agenda. We have one hearing item on our agenda today. Have there been any changes?
There have not been any changes.
All right, seeing no changes, I will approve the agenda as it was posted. Our third item is public interest comments for no action. Any member of the public who wishes to address the hearings officer on any item that is not listed as a public hearing item on the agenda may do so at this time. Public comments on hearing items will be taken at the time those items are heard. The hearings officer is prohibited by law from taking immediate action or discussing item issues raised by the public that are not listed on the agenda. So it sounds like there are no members of the public in the room.
That is correct. There's no members of the public in the room, and I don't see any online either. But I can make the announcement if you like, in case anybody walks in.
Yes, and you can also make the announcement online in case anyone who we think is here for something else has another item.
Great. So if any member of the public wishes to comment, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raised hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or by dialing *9 if you've joined by telephone. And if anybody walks into the room, please raise your hand and I will call on you to make a comment. There are no hands raised to comment.
All right, then I will close the public interest comments. So our next item is announcement of appeal rights. Any decision of the hearings officer is appealable to the TRPA governing board. The notice of appeal, which can be found on TRPA's website, and associated fees must be filed within 21 days of the hearings officer's decision. All right, and that brings us to our public hearing items. And we have one item today. So this will be item 5A. And it is the Falcon Lodge redevelopment project, 8258 North Lake Boulevard, Kings Beach, Placer County, California, assessor's parcel number 090-072-028, TRPA file number ERSP 2024-1650. And this is Brandy's item.
Thank you, Marcia. So Loma Lena Kings Beach LKD LLC is the applicant and owner, and they're requesting approval of a project to remodel, reopen, and then operate the Falcon Lodge Motel located at 8258 North Lake Boulevard in Kings Beach, Placer County, California. They're planning on remodeling the interior and exterior of the existing 3 buildings, installing landscaping, resurfacing and restriping the existing parking lot and driveway, and also adding a new driveway onto Brockway Vista, which is being required by the fire department. They're going to maintain the existing density of 25 tourist accommodation units and 1 single-family residential unit of use. The subject sites in the Placer County Tahoe Basin Area Plan, Mixed Use Lakeside Town Center District or Subdistrict, and it identifies hotels, motels, and other transient dwellings. It is allowed with a conditional use permit. As a result, TRPA is processing this application in accordance with this special use permit regulations in the TRPA code. This project has been reviewed and approved by the Placer County Tahoe Basin Design Review Committee. There are already, so North Lake Boulevard is a scenic corridor. There's already frontage improvements, landscaping, and sidewalk and streetlights along North Lake Boulevard. The parcel abuts to Brockway Vista. The area plan does call for improvements, streetscape improvements along Brockway Vista, but it's for larger projects. And I discussed this with Placer County. This type of project, just the redevelopment of existing buildings, does not trigger that those frontage improvements be installed. They're just putting in the driveway. The subject site currently is run down. It's been vacant for more than 5 years. So we'll see scenic improvements because it's been vacant for more than 5 years. They will have to pay a mobility mitigation fee. They are installing stormwater best management practices. The site currently does not have BMPs installed, which will be a water quality benefit. We did receive 2 letters in support of the project. So one was from Mike Lee Francois, COIS. And he just wanted to make sure we retain and protect public access along and through Brockway Vista Avenue from Sea Klein North past this project to the public beaches. There's going to be no impact to the Brockway public access. The issue is Brockway Vista leads to Kings Beach, which is a public beach. So that is not being impacted with this project. And then Jeffrey Ingerman, he is recommending that we approve the project. He thinks it's a good project, and we'd be fixing up a site that has been fenced off and in disrepair for somewhat close to 20 years. So also there's a need for additional overnight lodging in Kings Beach. So he's in support of the project. So that concludes my overview. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And also we have online Nick Exline. He's the consultant working on the project. I don't know if he has anything else to add.
No, I think you did a great job, Brandy. I just would, kind of echo the things you had said, and I just add a little bit more context in terms of this is the perfect project desired by Kings Beach. I've been in a host of Kings Beach community meetings for an array of projects, and routinely what you hear is we want to revitalize, we want to keep what's there, and we want to bring it back to life. And so, as Brandy outlined, it is a scenic improvement, it's an environmental improvement, it's a tax benefit improvement, and it also gets into some of the subculture issues that exist in all communities around the lake in terms of STRs and people wanting to have visitors stay in hotels and not in homes. Providing that kind of tourist base and kind of usage base in Kings Beach is something that's greatly desired and really supported by the community. And I would say that's established by getting 2 support letters on a North Lake project. And no opposition is speaks volumes. And so, similarly, I'm available for any questions. Andrea Gonzalez on my team, who deserves so much credit in bringing this forward, both with TRPA and Placer County, is available as well, and she can provide any additional documentation. But wanted to be here in support to answer any questions, and then just kind of again echo what what Brandy said, because this is a really great project.
Thank you, Nick. So I agree. I think Brandy did a great job of presenting this, and the staff report was well done. I really don't have any questions. I see the benefits. I did have a question about that access that was raised in the public comment, but it sounds like that won't be impacted. So I do not have any additional questions. So we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment.
Okay, we don't have anybody in the room or online, so I'll just go ahead and group them into one announcement.
Okay.
Any member of the public, either coming into the room right now or online, wishes to comment, please raise your hand now by clicking on the raised hand button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or by dialing *9 if you've joined by telephone. There are no hands raised to comment.
All right. Thank you, Jessica. I will close the public hearing on this item and take action. I will approve the findings contained in the staff summary, including a finding of no significant effect. And I'll approve the project based on the staff summary, the record evidence, and subject to conditions contained in the draft permit. All right.
Thank you so much, everybody. This couldn't have worked out better, and about to go vote on some sewer stuff. But no, really appreciate your time. Always good to see everybody.
All right. Thank you, Nick.
Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We are adjourned.